Yes, we are recording. So, welcome to the Ultra Running Sam, the reigning spine champion, Damian Hall.
Hi Sam, thanks for having me on.
That's no problem. Cheers for agreeing. So, as you were just saying before we hit record, you just been for your last big joint. No, what do you call them? The bimble into
Bimble.
bimble in the Black Mountains.
Yeah, I almost feel a bit sad because I have come to love the training at least equally, if not more than the events now. And partly when I signed up for the spine, this will be my fifth spine start. I kind of think, oh, December's going to be great. I'm going to get to the Black Mountains and get some long days and have some mostly fun training, and that's kind of over now. But I guess we got the as my coach David Roach calls it, next week we've got the party at the end, the celebration, and I'm sure it will feel like that all the way, right, Sam?
Yes, yeah. I'm sure it will. So this is So your fifth spine, and this will be my first ever full winter spine. So yeah, I'll try and make it like a party. But the sleepless nights at the minute aren't making it feel like a party, to be honest.
Oh, oh, is that I don't know, apprehension? Trying to think if
I,
you've got your
I
kit
don't know.
together.
It might be excitement. It might be like getting bits of kit still, like in the back of my mind thinking I've got to do this, and I go to bed thinking about it, and that's like the worst thing you can do, into it, going to bed thinking about something that you've got to do and that you haven't done yet, and the days are counting down. So just stupid things like I haven't I've got the Garmin, my handheld Garmin, what is it? It is a 62S, and I need to like upload the need to look at the map and upload the full route and stuff like that. And I know it's only like a minor thing, but I haven't done it yet, and it's playing on my mind. What are you like? Like I said to Kim in the last interview, you guys are like seasoned pros. Do you have any last minute jitters, or is it plain sailing?
I am somebody who likes a list. So right next to your face on my screen, actually, there is a list just to the left on one of those sort of desktop post-it notes, which says about five things I've got to do. And one of them is like the food shop, which is, that takes some time. So I've got five things to do, but none of them are too time intensive, and we're speaking over a week out. But yeah, it is a lot easier for me now. I always make sure after any race, actually, I take notes on what worked in terms of fueling and kit, especially, and what didn't. And now this is my fifth year. I've got quite a bit of quite a bit of kind of personal data on what's worked for me and what hasn't. So it does make it a lot easier. And because I did it last year and over half of it the year before, I hardly had to think about the kit at all. All the kit, or sort of 98% of the kit is all there, and I've used it before and know it will work. So yeah, without wishing to gloat, I'm in a sort of, a comfortable position mentally. But the danger there is, of course, that you start to think, oh, it's easy, I've done it before, and yes, it won't be easy
Is
at
is,
all.
is there anything that you, on reflection of last year's race, that you're going to do differently this year?
Ooh, good question. Yeah, I have changed my watch. My watch. I don't know whether it simply got too cold so my watch had a fair bit of battery left, but it just suddenly died on Hadrian's Wall, and I was using that primarily for the nav. Although of course you've got potentially phones and your GPS and a map. But I think it was just so cold it sapped the battery. I have switched to another. I've switched to Sunto. I mean, partly because they're a much more ethical company than the company I was using. But then this watch is sort of untried at the spine, so I don't know. And it might not be as cold. I don't know. We can't quite tell from here. So yeah, a small change there. Uh, Other than that, I'm trying to think. Not massively, because most things worked last time. Uh,
So is that
it's
the Sunto, is that the one with the ultra setting, where it the battery lasts for a long long
Yes, it's the
time.
vertical. It's
Is it one of
pretty
them?
new. Uh, but what these things are like. They always sound impressive, and then if you actually use it for navigation and stuff as well, then it never lasts quite as long as it's claimed. And also, if you put it in the better settings for battery power, then often it's not giving you accurate sort of GPS. So I'm not expecting to last the whole race without having to recharge it. But that is probably, yeah, one of the small things I'll do better is probably, yeah, stay on top of my electronics and keep them charged. Yeah, carry a little small battery pack from maybe halfway or something. Not that those, yeah, I mean, they're sometimes good for morale, to have music and or things to listen to. I quite like to do that later in a race.
Mm.
So yeah, I can't think of
Are
much
you
else
a
different.
podcast listener or a?
Yeah, I'm a real
Are you
podcast junkie actually. Um, and what I did last year, which was quite nice, it's tempting, of course, to listen to running podcasts, but I sort of, yeah, I'm quite a big football fan, so I caught up on from Middleton. I grabbed my smartphone and was catching up on the football podcasts that I tend to listen to at home, and that was actually really nice to just distract myself and um, stay on top of something that was nothing to do with running. Um, that was actually quite nice. You can go too far that way and sort of forget your racing kind of thing. But yeah, I like a distraction. I think from halfway, I almost see it as a treat. Somewhere like Middleton, you can yeah pick up a few treats. Yeah, I quite enjoy that.
Hmm. That's interesting actually, because yeah, when you're on a long run, it's fine. Obviously, it's a long run. Sometimes the last thing you want to hear about is running, isn't it? When
Mm.
you when you're deep into it, you just want to hear anything other than running, don't you?
I do similar with I nearly always try and make time the night before actually to watch a film. And actually, yeah, I think before my best UTMB, I did watch Chariots of Fire. But since then, I've always been tempted to watch. I don't know. I've done all the cheesy ones: Rocky, Braveheart, Last of the Mohicans, fittingly, because my Mohican won't last much longer. Yeah, I try and make time, but then you're not thinking about the race. You're not thinking about running, ideally. So, um, yeah, suggestions welcome. Actually, I need a sort of feel good action film for the night before. So,
Okay, so when I post this on social media, everyone can make their suggestions to you for what film to watch the night before the sparring.
yes, please, yes. And I prefer sort of swords and bows and arrows to sort of Die Hard type stuff, really. But I'm open to suggestions.
Excellent. Are you feeling, obviously last year went very, very well. Are you feeling any sort of returning title holder, sorry, how you would say, reigning champion? Do you feeling any of that pressure going into this?
Well, I was fine till just then. Thanks, Sam. Um, no, no, it's the opposite. So last year I had, yeah, frustration would be the word. So much frustration because the year before, 2021, I was winning the race by 4 hours, which I still can't quite get over. I almost think that's not going to happen again at the Spine. It's so much more competitive this year, and I had a 4 hour lead. And I messed that up. I injured myself by just not chilling enough, not putting the podcasts in, basically, not putting the podcasts in and chilling. Um, I was still, yeah, racing too hard when I didn't need to. So I had this huge frustration I carried all year, and I came into the race last year, 2023, with that frustration, and that really helped. Yeah, I think that really helped in the training and in the race. But then I felt a huge sense of relief, and I'm almost wondering if I'm too relaxed because I don't have the frustration. But it feels like the opposite. I don't feel pressure because I've won this race before. It'd be nice to win it again, but the field's so competitive. I'm just here to try and give my best effort and have a bit of an adventure, have a bit of a laugh with some of the characters and some of the people who turn out to support the race and people at the checkpoints. No, no, I honestly feel it's the opposite. I almost wish I had a bit more frustration or felt a bit more pressure. Um, yeah, so keep saying that, and that might build the pressure up in my head. It might help.
So are you feeling any pressure for this year then?
Loads.
What about the pressure of your arch nemesis returning
Which
going into
one?
the race. John Kelly.
Um,
Frenemies.
well, yeah, I mean, John probably is my best frenemy. And I mean, for those who don't know, John was we did a race out in Tennessee last March, and he was incredibly helpful. You wouldn't have known we had a rivalry. He spent many hours beforehand, showing me around, not just Frozen Head State Park, the bits we were allowed to see anyway, but also sort of southern eateries and various. Yeah, he would have predicted as much, but some were better than others in the southern cuisine. Although, yeah, it's not necessarily very vegan friendly part of the
Oh,
world either. So we had a lot of fun there, and yeah, I mean it's great fun. We raced in the summer as well at the Tour de Gion, so we raced twice last year. It's sort of one all in those respects. Um, but I mean, on paper, I've got to be careful how I say this because, well, I don't think John listens to podcasts, but also I don't want to give him any motivation. So if I sort of turn him, if I say anything that will annoy him, that does motivate him a lot. So I'm going to keep saying what a lovely, nice guy he is. Even if he doesn't listen to this, hopefully someone will say how lovely I was, what a great, brilliant, super champion of our sport he is. But I mean, on paper, Jack Scott has a better time than John. He has the second best time. He chased me very hard last time. So on paper, Jack is yeah. You could argue has the most pedigree. And then you've got, yeah. I mean, I heard your interview with Kim, and I have WhatsApp. I swap WhatsApp messages fairly regularly with all three of them. They're genuine friends. I really hope Kim has conquered this sort of medication issue he's had, and I've been with him a lot when he's had these moments. I really hope so. And if you're newer to the sport, people might not be aware, just how brilliant Kim Collison is. He was in the GB team at least twice, if not three times. He's broken numerous records, fell running records around the country. Yeah, he's an incredible athlete, and we're very, very similar actually. We end up running together a lot, whether we necessarily mean to or not. So yeah, Kim will get this right one day, I'm certain. And then you've got, yeah, a whole host of other runners. I haven't spent much time, looking at the roster or looking at Strava, but people keep telling me, or I notice, I suppose, on Instagram, there's a lot of other quality runners coming as well. So it may not, all three of us might not even be in the top three, might not even finish. So it's yeah, I'd love to be watching this if I wasn't in it.
yeah, this is what I said to Will Roberts from the media team. I said, I'm really happy that I'm doing the race, but I'd love to be covering it on media. It'd be great following everybody around and watching everything unfold.
Watching all the DNFs.
Watching all of the carnage. Yeah. Jack is he's been a bit of an enigma just recently. So I've been trying to get him to do an interview. Will tried to get him to do an interview, and he says, "No, I'm doing things differently this year." And he went dark on Strava, didn't he? So what do you think he's planning?
I don't know. But what I will say is, yeah, I mean, he's younger than the rest of us. He's still in his 20s. He's young enough to be my son. He's a phenomenal athlete, and he takes things very seriously.
Yeah.
He's very wise. He listens to, although his moustache last year may not have implied he was, well, it was sort of an older person's moustache, I suppose. I'm still traumatized by that look of me and him on telly the next morning. I had the sort of comedy, I had the comedy mohawk, and he had the comedy mo. So yeah, we both had yeah. I don't know if we were a good advert for ultra running necessarily. Me and the bouncing ball of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, yeah. Again, I think the same with Kim. Like, if he doesn't get it right this time, he'll get it right another time. Like, and he almost had it right last time. It was just, some navigation errors, which happen when people who haven't done these things maybe don't know how tired you get mentally. And it's hard to, it's kind of, yeah, it's hard to make decisions, and it's hard to, yeah, think straight, to be honest. So making decisions about which way, or remembering to check a map or check a watch or something is yeah, it gets hard. And he made some mistakes last time that he probably won't make this time. So that's why I'm more worried about, potentially more worried about how well he can do. Well, not worried, worried and excited because I'd love to see him do well. So yeah, who knows? And Jack's still, I mean, he's got phenomenal range. Like he does very well in short races, whereas I certainly don't. So he's got phenomenal range, and he's got years ahead of him, whereas I haven't. So that was part of my mentality last year when it came down to almost not, you wouldn't call it a sprint, but a race between me and him. I kind of thought I haven't got many years left where I'll be able to compete at these things, so I got to give it all, right now. And I kind of thought he's got loads of chances. Give me a chance, you whippersnapper. So yeah, again, exciting to see what he can do.
Yeah. Have you sort of got in your minds how? Because I know Jack he's very big on his sort of mental game, and he talks about that a bit last year. How does your sort of mental preparation go over these last few weeks as you sort of preparing your last few bits of kit and preparing your mind? Is this something that you do go through with Coach Roach, or is it something you've sort of dialed in yourself?
Some of my mental preparation has come more from, I've worked only briefly really with a sports psychologist called Dr. Josie Perry, and this was mostly actually back in sort of 2020, but a couple of times since, and I've read her books. She's got a couple of really good sort of preparation ideas. One's called a what if sheet, which people may already know about. But you write down what's my biggest kind of apprehension or fear about the race, and you go with your gut instinct. What are you most worried about? And you write it down, and then the other side you write the things that you'll do to prevent that happening. But then you also write what you'll do if that happens. So and to an extent you can almost, I've heard, almost prepare the mind in advance. If it's a scenario you haven't been in before, you can almost create a false memory so it's less shocking to the mind, less upsetting kind of thing, less jarring. So I don't always do that, but I sometimes do that, and I've encouraged my athletes. I've got several athletes running. Some could be competitive. Some are just looking to finish, but I've encouraged them to do that. I think that's quite useful. And thinking ahead, you could just call it visualization to an extent, but I think visualization, I believe from what I've heard, try and think of the positives and negatives, as in, try and prepare mentally for things that might go wrong, but also try and think of the great moments, coming to hike up Nick, hopefully at dawn and things like that, or surviving various places. John Bamber and his noodle, escaping from John Bamber, things like that. Try and think of both. So I do a bit of that, and I encourage, there are various confidence things you can do if people aren't sure there. I mean, with the spine, confidence is a fascinating thing, isn't it? Because you can be overconfident and you can be underconfident, and where's the right level? But apparently most of your confidence comes from as people might guess, from your direct preparation, your training, and then also your history, almost your CV of running. And I think most people, when they come to the spine, they've already done hard things like that you would expect, and hopefully training's been decent for people. I don't do a lot more than that, to be honest, but I'm genuinely, more than any other race I could think of, I just love being there. I love being in Edale. I know so many people. I'm so familiar with Edale and the route and what the weather may fling at us and such. It's such a familiar feeling for me that I honestly just can't wait.
It's like a big reunion, isn't it? Like a big reunion party.
It's brilliant.
A year later, it's great.
A second Christmas.
So how did training go for you then? As sort of nuts and bolts. Was it similar to preparation for last year, or is there anything new that your coach has thrown in?
I'd say sort of 80-90% similar. Probably two things differently I've done, more from my, so I've become increasingly a fan of saunas. It'll sound a bit perverse, preparing for the spine race by going to saunas, But yeah, I go once or twice a week. There's some, some promising science on that. Obviously, I'm not heat training as such, but it's sort of should give you, your physiology a boost in various ways. So that's not, that's not a central part of my training, but that's something I've been doing for a year, maybe even 2 years now, once or twice a week. The other thing is I did do things a bit differently in about October. I did a load of sort of short local races. So I had the Tour de Gion in September, and yeah, allowed some recovery. And then I thought I really need to, I'm 48 now. I need to work harder on speed, and most of my workouts I do on my own. And I wonder if I'm not always. Well, here's the thing. Yeah, I could sometimes push harder, perhaps, but then I almost, touch wood, never get injured. So who knows? Maybe I'm doing exactly the right thing. But I thought I'll do some local races, and they've been great fun. So October was a lot of October, November was local races. So I wasn't really doing long runs then, because they'd often be on the Saturday or the Sunday. And then I switched to more specific sort of spine prep definitely for December. So they're the only two things that have been a bit different, really. Other than that, yeah, that's about it.
So all systems go. Brilliant. So just finally, then, I asked this question to Kim, and he didn't really want to answer it. Other than yourself, who do you think has got a chance? Who do you think has got the best chance of winning? Because it is an all-star lineup this year, isn't it? Returning champions and new guys, upcoming guys. Have you sort of? I know you said you haven't really looked into it too much, but have you got a feeling, other than yourself returning and taking the win? Who would your money be on?
I think it's got one name written all over it, really, and that's Ian Keith. I think we'll all go up, blow ourselves up, and he'll trot through the debris later on around Alston, Belgium. We'll just be scattered all over the Pennines, destroying each other, and he'll have judged it perfectly again, and he'll just ghost through us with a little bit of cheeky Irish chatter and claim his fourth win.
It could happen. That's the thing, isn't it? Yeah, that's the thing about the spine, is anything can happen. And yeah, this was sort of my thinking, and I'd said this to Kim, that there's a lot of tension and a lot of energy with these young guys coming through. Could there be a bit of somebody makes an early break, a few people go with them, and then it all explodes, and then like you say, Ian Keith comes through at his pace that he's gone the whole race at, and just goes straight through.
Yeah, it could do. Who knows? Yeah, no, I'm not gonna make any more predictions than that for the men's race. Yeah, who knows? And there are two or three runners on the periphery of people's sort of vision, I think, that have very promising pedigree as well, from what I hear. So no, it's just exciting, and yeah, I've just got to think about my own race and not think too much about other people, really. I'll let be, a lot of them are my friends. That'd be nice to catch up. So if I can just stay uninjured and ahead of Ian Keith, that's the trick.
And without being sexist, I realised that I didn't ask him who his favourite for the women's race would be. And I know you obviously coach one of the top women, don't you?
Yes, I would say two of them, without wanting to put any pressure on anyone. Which is Nikki Summers, as well as Elaine Bisson, and they're both just phenomenal athletes, and they've both done very well before, and then they've both had races that they, I suppose, weren't hoping for, and they're back with that sort of frustration that I had last year. And they're both in fantastic shape. But as you say, we got my old friend Spinksy has rolled up, and Claire Banworth, who's phenomenal, and two or three others as well who have great pedigree. So it'll be interesting. I mean, this might be like reverse sexism, but I tend to think, I could be wrong here, and maybe at UTMB it's about equal, but it does tend to be more men rather than women that sort of, what's the word? Mess it up, go too hard and blow each other up. but I'd love to be a spectator on the women's race. Equally, I tend to think they're a little bit smarter, but you've still got 5 or 6 women, maybe more, going for the win or going for the podium. So I'd expect we'll still see some fireworks there as well. This is clearly the most competitive race at the Spine, most competitive year in the men's and the women's races, and it's really good. It's really good to see.
Yeah, it's great for the race, isn't it? That and the more sort of more of a spotlight that you get on the race, more of a spotlight on UK trail running, all the better. Absolutely. Just finally then, what's just how are things gone with your other interests? So the green runners, and then what else are you? Was something else that you were been doing?
Into ultra.
Yeah, into ultra. Yeah, what's happening with
Oh,
that?
yeah. Thanks for bringing them up. So Inter Ultras, we've applied for charity status, but we're so that's pending. We're a sort of small group launched less than a year ago, basically to try and remove some of the financial barriers to ultra running and get more people, try and make it more inclusive, more diverse. And so far, I mean, to be honest, I do very little of the actual work, but so far we've helped almost 50 runners, prepare for, do races, get them kit. But we can help more, and we're really keen. Our biggest problem actually is sort of reaching outside of the ultra running world, in that I think hopefully a lot of people in the ultra running world may have heard of us or may be aware of it. Really, we want to reach those people who maybe haven't done ultras or are curious about ultras. So I would say to anyone listening, if they've got, I don't know, a friend or a friend of a friend, or they just want to mention us, the idea, I suppose, is that you are from low, in low income circumstances at the moment, but we judge people on a sort of case by case. And don't approach me, direct approach, go through the website and email in. We'll help if we think you fit the criteria. And we've had over 100 sort of brands and events and coaches and people offer support, which usually means something free or something heavily discounted. So we're very grateful of that. So we really can help people now. And often it's the kit. The kit is the big one. If you think imagine you're a recreational runner and then you sign up for the Spine. The Spine is the classic one. 31 items on the kit list. Absolutely crazy. You could spend, it's over £1,000 to enter the Spine. You could spend double that again on the kit, probably. So but even for summer races, there can be a lot of kit, and if you don't have the means, it seems a shame those people miss out. So we can do a lot of things to help people. As for the green runners, last year was our first full year, I suppose. We're less than 2 years old. We've got over 1,000 members all around the world, including people like Kilian Jornet. It's been really exciting. We've got lots and lots of things going on. We've got a partnership with England Athletics. We're sort of at all the major we're at the running show. Loads going on. The stuff I get more excited about is the more sort of agitating against sports washing, such as and I didn't I've seen this most recent report by Advocacy, and there are, in sport in general, there are 250 cases at least of sports washing. So companies or even nation states that are doing great harm, but they want to distract us from that by putting money into sport to make us feel good about them. And you can see a lot of that in football, in golf, in cycling. But it is creeping into running too. So UTMB has a high carbon sponsor, and a lot of the big American marathons actually have high carbon sponsors, including the Houston Marathon coming up shortly. And we just think that's not okay. It's not okay to use running to sports wash, to try and look like you're doing good things for the world when you're really not. And as we speak, I don't know what it's like up there, but we have the worst. We've got exactly the sort of winter that's been predicted by climate scientists here, warm and wet, and we've had endless rain here. We've got the worst floods in Wiltshire that I've seen in my sort of 12 or 13 years here. And those companies are to blame. Fossil fuels are to blame. But you're probably going to cut me off soon because I'm getting quite ranty. But thank you, thank you for giving me the option to update people on those two things. But I just want to, with the green runners, we do welcome pretty much everyone. You don't have to be perfect by any means. I flew a long distance to a race last year. You don't have to be perfect. We just ask people to sort of make one pledge to improve in one of 4 areas, but really I'd much rather people, just talked about it really, and that could be your pledge. I'm going to talk to my family or friends about climate breakdown. That could be enough. We're not after perfection by any means. We're not anti-meat eaters or anti-new kit or anti-flying. And yeah, the more people that join, the more power we can have and make changes. So yes, I've run out of steam. I've run out of tea. But thank you for letting me talk about all that.
No problem. I would never cut you off while you're talking so passionate about the things that mean a lot.
Thank you, Sam.
Yeah, so that's awesome. I appreciate you coming on and giving us a bit of an insight into what's going on with you, with your training, how things have gone and everything. So all there is now is to just get some rest and get lots of sleep, and I'll see you in Edale.
And plenty of man faffing too, Sam. I hope you've set aside good amount of time for man faffing.
I do a lot of faffing. That is something that I'm notorious for.
Good.
I get worse as I get older. I used to be able to, like, my daily commute for work, like on a normal day, get up and get my running stuff on and run to work. I used to be able to give myself literally like 20 to 30 minutes. I could just roll out of bed, put my running stuff on, get downstairs, cup of coffee, and out the door. Now it takes me a full hour to faff before I can leave the house. And then at the end of it, I'm like, what have I done in this hour? I don't even know what I've done in this hour other than just get dressed and drink a cup of coffee and do the business.
Oh dear, the spine experience is going to be interesting for you, especially that second half. The checkpoints in the second half, they're prime man faff. They're man faff HQs. You need to, it's going to be interesting.
I'll work on that. That's something I will consciously. I'll probably write that on my, my bit of laminated paper that I have in my bag, in my drop bag. I'll have
Don't
that.
man faff.
Do not faff. Yes. I appreciate the last minute advice.
Well, I try and tell myself I should be either moving, eating, or sleeping. And even when you're eating, you could be sorting your kit while eating. So really, eating isn't really enough excuse. So moving or sleeping, really, I would say.
2 options.
Yes.
Awesome. Thanks for coming on, mate. Appreciate you.
Cheers, Sam. See you in Edale, and best of luck.
Thank you very much. See you, mate.
Cheers, mate.
Bye.